been happening in the financial world. Matthew Cranston from the Australian Financial Review joins me now. You're taking a good look at employment, particularly because we've got figures out on Thursday, and to what extent this might inform the RBA's next decision, which is really poised here. It could go either way.
That's right. At the moment, Tom, it's about a 55% chance financial markets are pricing in for a cut to 0.5. On February.
So low, yeah.
That obviously another record low. But yeah, the unemployment figures on Thursday are a crucial data point in all this, because the RBA looks at employment to see if they can reduce employment, which sees wage growth. And if you get wage growth, then you get consumers spending more, you get inflation, and inflation get back to the target of being between 2 and 3%, and then they don't have to cut rates.
So that's...
so
that's part of their indication what's going to happen with employment. On the other side, you've got housing. And look, I guess the advice of former RBA governors might be like the advice from former prime ministers. You say, thanks, I'll do what I want to do. But Ian Macfarlane was saying he thought the correction on housing in particular could have run for a bit longer.
Yeah, I noticed his comments. I think you're right that housing will be a very significant factor playing on the RBA board's mind come February 4.
They do worry about it, don't they?
Absolutely, because it's not just the asset price inflation part of it which makes them nervous, but it's also the fact that when you get more equity in your house, when your value of the house goes up, you've got more equity, you've got more spending, and we've seen obviously summer's a bit different, but we've seen the fastest annualised housing growth in 10 years, and there's been a strong rebound. The point, though, that they are watching is that turnover, the amount of housing transactions that are happening, is still at a 30-year low. So it's the quantity of whether or not this housing bounce is...
Which questions just how robust it is. If only a few people are willing to sell, you go, well, sure, but we think the demand is probably the low supply is hurting it. Deloitte putting out predictions for the economy. It sort of says steady as she goes, I guess, but probably the other way of saying is treading water on wages and employment, which on employment, treading water might be okay, but wages, it's become a very familiar tale.
That's right. And with this, you then get a hit to the confidence, right? So the confidence is the big thing as well.
This is the missing elixir at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, I mean, when you think about it, you might have unemployment not where it wants to be, and you might have inflation maybe not where it wants to be. But you've got record stock market, you've got house prices surging back, you've got a big trade deal that's just happened, so you've got all these positive factors in the mix. But yeah, confidence is the missing thing. And this week you'll also have Westpac's confidence index come out, and in that you're going to see an interesting thing just to watch out for is inside all the detail of that Westpac confidence index, they show you the political alignment of each consumer, and it's quite distinct. Confidence from Labor voters is down like this. Sorry, not sure if you can see it. It's right down. And then confidence from Liberal-leaning voters is up like this. It's a complete dichotomy. So it's a really interesting thing because the economy's become so political as well.
It has. I mean, it's interesting when you look at it. There are these sort of conflicting factors in here because growth overall in jobs has been pretty good for a while, and yet we're a mile away, according to the sort of recalibration of when unemployment actually hits wage increases. We're a mile away from that. House prices sort of seem to be surging, and yet people aren't spending it because there's no confidence at the same stage. And even the bushfires, do we assume that's going to be a lag? People don't feel like things are going well and they're going to spend now.
So yeah, that's true. You've got the two things happening there. So you've got this employment growth, which is still strong, 2.5%, but is it going to get enough to get us down to the point where you get wage growth? Maybe not. We asked the RBA Deputy Governor in, I think, December and November last year about whether or not this is going to happen, and they just said, well, look, keep the faith. It has happened in the US. It has happened in other areas, so just hold on and wait. But then, yeah, you're right. There are other factors such as bushfires which weigh on consumer confidence and that sort of thing. But again, it bounces back, and you've got the rebuilding, and you've got people buying new things. So there's a bit of a kick.
The government didn't want to pump in stimulus, but
I don't think the RBA would be ignoring the fires. But I don't think that they'd be putting them you know, front and centre into their model of where they should be cutting rates.
Yeah, and strangely enough, I mean, there's going to be a sort of downside impact, but this sort of what would you call it, stimulus going through, even if it's unplanned. We've got to leave it there. We've got some breaking news. But Matthew Cranston, thanks for your time.
Thanks.